Hi, I'm Dallas Downs, and I'm presenting on ethics and auditing, what and why. To give you background information, we'll go back to the accounting scandals back in the early 2000s, when Enron, WorldCom, and Tyco failed as companies. The confidence in the market was destroyed, and firms like Arthur Andersen failed as well. This was because of the lack of independence that they had, and people just didn't trust them anymore after what had happened. Many people went to lawmakers as a result, and they created the Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002. This law created a code of ethics and required that a code of ethics be put in place for all publicly traded firms. Next, it created the requirement of more independence of accounting firms so they couldn't audit the work that they had consulted. Next, partners had to be rotated on a regular basis. Some of the other standards and guidelines that had been in place before Sarbanes-Oxley had been made an act were the Federal Sentencing Guidelines, auditing standards such as the SAS standards, the AICPA Code of Professional Conduct, GAAP, and GAS. Now these were kind of like the standard for auditors to follow. This is kind of like the ethical basis, and if they're following these standards, they should be pretty ethically correct. And in most professional accountants' opinion, if they're following these laws, regulation, codes, and standards, really they're doing their job the way that they're supposed to be doing. They're protecting themselves as well as the markets. Next, I wanted to talk about the conflict of interest that comes about being an auditor. Well, auditors are hired on by a company, and the companies are required to have audits done for the third-party interest holders. So really the auditors should be employed by the third-party interest holders, but they're employed by the company. And economically, it's best to keep your clients and keep the company as a client. So they're looking out for themselves best by keeping the client. But really, they need to be looking out for the third-party interest holders. These are the people that they're really doing the audits for. And this is why they need the audits done, is because they need someone independent to look over the financials and say whether they are correct. Why is it so important to have ethics in auditing? Well, like we just described, like this conflict of interest exists. And these third-party shareholders and interest holders are people such as employees, investors, customers, suppliers, distributors, and really the capital market, everyone. And it's really important that independence is created so that really the financials don't have this lack or these investors and people don't have this lack of confidence in whether the financial statements really are what they are. Auditors are supposed to be the watchdogs, so they're supposed to be watching out for these third-party interest holders, and if they're not doing that, then really there's no point of having auditors, and really management can get away with whatever they want. Okay, next we're going to go over the consequences of the lack of ethics in auditing. We saw back in the early 2000s some of the world's biggest companies were brought down just because of the lack of ethics. Shareholders lost billions, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people lost their jobs with no severance pay, no retirement plans, and also a lot of their investments were destroyed in the process. It also eroded credibility in the financial markets and in financial statements in general, public information, and audits. Because of this, it's really, really important that auditors have ethics, and same with accountants in their fields of practice. They need to have these ethics because really it hurts those that are also not participating in it. It's one rotten apple can ruin a batch or a bundle of apples. It hurts those honest people that are really trying to do what's ethically correct. So ethics in auditing is following those ethical standards, practices, codes, laws, and regulations that are set forth to protect them and the market. I'm Dallas Downs, and this is my presentation on ethical auditing. Thank you.